It's literally a handful of people deciding the lives of tens of thousands of people, whether they will live or die.
It's crazy to think one individual or 5 individuals who are working in a software job can have such a big impact.
They have no interest in trying to control the ethics and bias and policies. They would rather just build the software and build a capitalistic, money-making machine.
I had the pleasure of interviewing at the time, the Undersecretary for NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, Laurie Locasio. And we got into a deep conversation around bias, AI bias, and where one starts with when you think about the AI agent, right? Where does one start? It becomes democratized, but there's going to be guardrails and checks and balances that every single government will put. And also, governments will also say, we need our agents to do X, Y, and Z. It might be in some countries, we want the agent to feel high agency when it comes to finances or empathy or compassion or whatever. So it's going to be very interesting to see how governments play some role in there. And then from the conversation you were just having, there's, every single decision that humans have ever taken, there's always going to be good things that come out of it and bad things. We're gonna leave something off the table. We as humans might become terrible at, being able to effectively communicate and getting to an answer. We're gonna just rely on, oh God, okay, we're going through a rough patch. Let's just rely on the AI agent. So we're gonna miss out on something. That's right. For sure. A lot to unpack there.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to, if you look at the history of humanity, anytime we thought there's a benevolent centralized leader, at some point, either the centralization or the benevolence did not work out over time. And by the way, I'm MIT professor, but also taken sabbatical leaves, and I started an AI team at Facebook. Before that, I was a scientist at Google. Later on, during the pandemic, also was working on Apple Health at Apple. Have done many startups. I also have venture funds. So, I'm a very capitalist, and I really believe in the phase one of every revolution. You need centralization, you need a lot of capital, a lot of talented people to come together. But at some point, you have to move to decentralization. So if you think about the punching bag, which is social media, people at Facebook or X do not wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to create a bad system that's bad for society, it's bad for social media. There is one project manager that's sitting there who has to make a decision for a whole country. A country of Burma, if they're having trouble, they complain, and there's 1 or 2 people who have to make a decision on how they should change their software so it doesn't affect the society on the ground. So what's happening, Julian, is that when you centralize data, centralize compute, centralize software, very reluctantly, these organizations also have to manage the ethics and bias and a lot of the things downstream. They have no interest in trying to control the ethics and bias and policies. They would rather just build the software and build a capitalistic, money-making machine.
Before you carry on, I do want to just clarify the example you gave, because Yuval Harari talks about it in Nexus.
Right.
This idea that Myanmar, Burma, during the Rohingya massacre, didn't do enough, and actually led to, there was a lot of propaganda going on, and led to the deaths of tens of thousands of people.
That's right.
And so it's crazy to think one individual or 5 individuals who are working in a software job can have such a big impact. And so we have to learn from our mistakes.
Exactly.
But sorry, I just wanted to...
No, I'm glad you clarified that, because it's literally a handful of people deciding the lives of tens of thousands of people, whether they will live or die. And those people in the big tech companies are not interested in running that job. But they don't have a way to democratize that process. And the only way to solve that problem is the way the society works. The power, the insight, the foresight is all diffused in the society. And there are plenty of checks and balances. And because of that, our society works, right? So you have different branches of the government, different branches of commerce, different branches of society, and they all have checks and balances. If one system is not being well maintained, people move to another system. This is not good for us. Let's move on to the other thing. And I think the same challenge is going to be amplified in the centralized AI versus decentralized AI. Because all the things that you just mentioned, the unfortunate things that happen in Myanmar, can happen in a matter of days, because the AI can not only have strong bias, but can also be used as a weapon. By weapon, I mean a digital weapon, to create zero-day attacks and things like that. So once things are diffused, they're like, oh, there is no one single entity that has all the compute and so on. It's all diffused. So there is kind of, things are happening at a human pace as opposed to kind of at the AI pace. And the decision making and all that can be all localized and decentralized and so on. So I think I'm not saying it's a solution to everything, but that's how in the past, the human society has evolved, where centralization has become decentralization. And if you want to go, fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And the together is what we're talking about here.
Thanks for watching this Beyond Tomorrow clip. If you haven't subscribed yet to our main channel, join us there for conversations that can help you thrive today and flourish tomorrow. We'll see you next time.